appointing, I think the council liaison should be appointed in April because, well, if that person doesn't get reelected, you got to go through the whole process anyways. So that should just, I don't know if it says that in the ordinance, I'd have to look, but I mean, council liaison should coincide with the term of their term, so.
If you haven't heard, Paul and I are working on cow council ordinance, and with that, one clean on all of the committees so that everything's similar, so we can try and address that at the same time.
Okay. All right, it's 6 o'clock. I'm here to call this meeting of the Utility Commission to order. It's Thursday, October 17th, 6 p.m. Matt, if you could take a roll call for us, please.
Hammer.
Here.
Winkler is absent. Tom.
Here.
Reagan Rule is absent. Handler. I'm here. Curtis.
Here.
And we do have one vacancy, so
Great, we do have a quorum. This meeting has been posted according to state statutes and local ordinances. Next item is to approve the agenda. Make a suggestion that we delete new business number 11 off of the agenda since we don't have the materials for that discussion this evening. Any other suggestions on the agenda?
Well, I was going to suggest that we discuss the agenda first, or excuse me, the budget first, because of so many things that are hinging on the budget. So I'm not really sure how to go forward with some of these items without the budget.
We still need to talk about things, but obviously we're not going to be able to make any decisions, apparently.
I would have made a motion to approve the budget or to approve the agenda, and then we just go through each item. You know, we can discuss, see where we're at. If it's got to get forward onto the next meeting, it gets forward onto the next meeting.
That makes sense.
I'll second that.
So are you making a motion
To approve the
entire agenda or the deletion?
Well, the agenda with the deletion of item 11.
Okay, all right.
I'll second that.
We had a motion and a second then to approve the agenda with the deletion of item number 11 under new business. Any discussion on the motion? If none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Agenda's approved. I see no one present for public comment this evening. Move on to the consent agenda, which we have the approval of the September 19th minutes, utility outage reports for electrical and water, and then the approval of the water, wastewater, and electrical departments cash disbursements report and accounts payable report. Any questions or discussion on any of the items in the consent agenda?
I got just one question. Check number 24005, which is made out to Pure Water Labs. Is that for the testing of the dirt?
That is for the alternative VOC testing of the water that was in a reservoir for Plant 1.
Okay. The only reason I ask that is that we'll have to straighten out the general ledger account because it has it under electric, and it says 30, it should be 50. So, okay. I mean, that's simple enough to fix, so.
Yeah. I will make note.
Any other questions on consent agenda items? If none, I'll take a motion to approve.
Okay, go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda with the before stated change to the check number.
24005. Thank you. Okay, I'll second that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda with the change to the check number 24005 as stated. Any discussion on the motion? If none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Roll call.
Oh, sorry, yep, you're right.
Hammer.
Aye.
Tom.
Aye.
Handler. Curtis.
Aye.
Motion passes. Consent agenda is approved. There's no unfinished business this evening. We'll move on to new business. Item number 4, which is purchase of wire spools for electric utility. There's information in the packet about this from Jacob. Seems pretty straightforward. Trying to plan ahead for 2025 and assuming the cost of wire spools is only going to go up, so you want to replenish the inventory.
Yeah, and we're actually almost out, so we do need to purchase some.
Any budget concerns at all? This is in the budget for 2024.
Yeah, we have enough now to
Okay.
cover it, and we'll be able to cover it for next year as well.
Okay. Any questions from anyone on the commission about the wire spools? If not, I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of the wire spools for the electric utility in the amount of $35,890.50.
I'll second.
All right, we've got a motion and a second to approve the purchase. Any discussion on the motion? If none, let's take a roll call on that one, Matt.
Tom,
Aye.
Hammer,
Is it Andler or
Andler. Sorry. I'll
Hammer?
enunciate.
Yeah.
Curtis.
Aye.
Hammer. Aye.
All right, motion passes. We'll move on to item number 5, new business, which is the purchase or rental of a wheel loader for the wastewater treatment plant. There is information in the packet about this, about a wheel loader for the wastewater treatment plant for moving the sludge cake. And did you want to speak on that, Jake?
Yeah. DPW does have 2 wheel loaders. They are quite, one is quite old. It's pretty small and does not really fit the needs of sludge moving. We were able to work out a contract deal to test out 2 used units that Midstate had sitting aside. We tested a smaller unit and a larger unit, and the larger of the 2 units actually performed better. Has more weight behind it, so we're actually able to push the pile and actually pick it up higher to drop it, so we can stack it, have more stackability. The only addition would be we're gonna put a Teflon rubber squeegee on the bottom of the bucket where the teeth would be if it was gonna be a dirt bucket, so that we can actually squeegee the floor to keep the material from building up and being slippery. Reason for this is that the practice moving forward is going to be moving the pile twice a week to aid in the drying of the cake as it sits, because as cake sits, it acquires more moisture and gets wetter as it sits. The more we turn it, just like compost, the more it'll dry. Now that we have a full staff on this site, it's a benefit to us, and the fact that we're going to be either purchasing or leasing the unit, we'll have a maintenance package with Midstate, and they'll always have a available backup for us. $31,000 a year to rent a $600,000 machine that's brand new, so I don't think that's a bad price. And it alleviates us from having to go use a unit that should just be put up for auction, to be honest.
Microphone.
Was there any other option for the second unit? I mean, I see the first one, which is the old one, or had the most hours on it. That's the same one that is on the lease, but was there a lease option for the lower hour unit?
That was gonna be something that I tried to negotiate after the fact. It was not figured into this, but I do believe it would be an option. They seem to be pretty willing to work with us in accommodating whatever we need. So I do believe I could work that out with a salesperson.
Be nice if we could get the lower houred one for the lease rate, but
Correct.
Jacob, have there been any conflicts with sharing the equipment with DPW?
Yes, there has been, but that is, I guess you could call interdepartment things that we've handled.
So is it a scheduling conflict?
Not particularly. but I believe that may have been alleviated. But then again, the equipment that we have to use is quite undersized.
So even the larger unit that DPW has is
It's
undersized?
essentially the same size as the unit that we use. It's just a much newer model.
Okay, you lost me.
They have two
The-
units that are
Right.
essentially the same model size, but it's 20 years newer, 30 years newer. So they do not let us use that one.
Okay. And the older unit doesn't suffice for the work you need?
It does not.
Okay. Thank you.
Is part of the plan then to take, if you were to get a new unit, to auction off the old unit that you currently have, or is there still a use for that one?
That would be a decision of the Common Council and the DPW. It's not our equipment.
Oh, the one that you have down there right now?
No, we have to go pick it up if we need it.
Oh, you don't have one on site at all right now?
We do not.
Okay. All right. I think my only question that I had was the same as Brooks, is that we have 3 options and you're recommending option number 4, so we don't really know exactly.
Well, it would be option number 3, but I would try to push for an option number 4, which would be the newer unit at the same price of $31,000 annually.
I'm gonna say, if you could swing that, that would,
It's the same machine, just with less hours.
Yeah.
That's the only difference. I guess it would depend on what they could rent it out for. If they have a renter already available for that new one, I do not know. They were all, one was coming in as we took the one that was sitting on Highway 16. I'm sure we could work it out. Jeremy has a pretty good relationship with everyone at Midstate, and they've worked well with us when it comes to the leasing of the Bobcats, the pricing and actually availability. We have a pretty good relationship with them, so I do believe we could work something out.
is there anything that says what year these things are?
I want to say they're 3 or 4 years old.
Because the one's got darn near 6,000 hours on it, and the other one's only got, what, 38?
Didn't snow much the past 2 years. Most of these are leased out to snow removal, so they have a snow pusher on the front of them, and they just sit in a parking lot until it snows.
Still, it would be nice to get the lower
Yeah,
hour.
it'd be nice to be able to afford them and rent them out like that when they're not going to get used and you still have resale value on a brand new piece of machinery. Because as far as heavy equipment's concerned, 38 hours is brand new.
Yeah, no, that's.
That's not even
yeah.
testing it, really.
Yeah,
That's not even the first oil change.
no, no.
Jake, I know you shared, there's been some concerns about being able to share equipment with Public Works. Is the newer loader unit that Public Works has, is that able to do the job that you need it to do?
It would do it easier than the older unit, but it is still undersized. It's the same model, essentially. Other models of a case changes a little bit from 1980s to the 2000s, but it is still a lighter model, and it has a smaller bucket and doesn't have as higher reach as the John Deere would. We'd be losing about, I do believe, 2 or 3 feet of actual tipping height, and we lose about 1,000 pounds of weight.
So even if we could work out an arrangement where the equipment was shared, it doesn't necessarily meet your needs?
No, I mean, we can get by with it, but when you have an undersized machine, it's kind of like putting an undersized person on the offensive line. It just wear and tear on the equipment, and it's not good for it. If you saw how violent hitting the pile was with the smaller units, it's hard on the operator, but it's also extremely hard on the hydraulics and the actual unit itself.
Are there concerns also about sharing the equipment since it's being used for moving sludge cake? Obviously, that probably can't, unless it's cleaned meticulously, can't be used for other things.
That is one of the other things, is that we usually have to put about 2 or 3 hours into cleaning it every time we take it back. So you're looking at something we're gonna plan to do twice a week for about 4 to 5 hours a day. And then you add, they want it back every day, so you're looking at another 6, 7 hours of cleaning and transport time, and then having to drive it all the way up to get diesel fuel and take it back. That's if nothing happens to it.
Well, would that be something that maybe the city should look at? Maybe the city should get the bigger one and maybe get a second bucket? I mean, are these?
It's not just the bucket, it's the actual weight of the machine.
Right, hear me out. I'm saying, maybe get rid of the smaller one, or maybe get rid of the larger one that they have. I don't know, whichever one would work best for the city, and then get a bucket that would be just for wastewater, and then the other for city. And
I think the challenge with that concept is that this is a newer unit that DPW has purchased, and we've got pieces of equipment 30 years old that need to be replaced, that we're behind on our replacement schedule at Public Works, and having to now go and replace a piece of equipment that's recently been replaced just kind of throws that schedule out of whack. And I understand the concept, but I also don't know where this is on the priority list for DPW, that it would make sense to go and get a new one right now.
no, I understand that. I'm just trying to figure if there's a way that it could be, I guess, shared.
Yeah,
One of the other caveats of us renting a unit for a year or two is that, if possible, one of the things that I was hoping to look into, if we can get a grant from the federal government for this biosolids project for the dewatering and land application process, is that we can tie in a new unit for the removal and moving of the cake, because the process and the manner in which we do it right now is going to be completely changed. So it would be essentially tied into the capital budget and the capital project, so it would be part of that purchase, hopefully. But if not, the leasing option for the amount of hours and what we're going to be doing with it, keeping it on site and utilizing it, would be in our best interest right now. It'd be the most cost effective, rather than having a purchase, tying up another unit with DPW. It would allow DPW to drop the second unit if they need it, if need be, and have that to put into new equipment that they can use. They do need a new backhoe. The backhoe they have, I do know, is obsolete. It's from 1989.
1998.
98.
And right now, the CIP has that being replaced in '25.
So you could also add the wheel loader to that to be extra money down.
Okay.
The only other thing that I noticed was that you've got the quote for the purchase of the two items, and as Brooke stated, the hours are quite different on those two units. And then on the agenda item, it says that it would be up to the discretion of Mid-State to determine actually which unit we get.
Yeah.
And then on the quote for the lease, it,
That was,
right one here.
that was for the higher hour.
Does it specify that, though?
Yeah, it does. The model number.
Okay. The other thing I noticed here, though, is that it says it's a used equipment lease and there's no warranty included. So
No.
while they do include maintenance,
We will have maintenance, but we will not have warranty.
okay. So I'm wondering if you can negotiate with them to get the newer unit for less hours or something, maybe for the same price?
That was my goal, is to negotiate that with Chris, yes.
Okay.
So you mentioned that you have to fill it up when you return it.
Yes.
Where do you go for that?
The BP,
So if we buy one, are we gonna have to drive it up to get it refilled, or are you gonna work something out with someone to refill it?
We do have a fabricator and former farmer on site that would be able to most likely put a pup trailer together with a diesel tank that we could pull behind one of our pickup trucks to have on site, so we can actually pump from that tank into the unit. But right now, it's not feasible because it's not ours. It's the only thing that diesel is our Bobcat, and we can fill that with a 5-gallon tank. Put in a tank on a trailer to use like you would have a pup tank for a farmers under the
Yeah.
field, would be what would be ideal, because putting an actual tank on site would require a lot of EPA and DNR approvals and spill protection and whatnot,
Yeah,
so.
no,
Well,
Yeah.
city had that stuff years back. City had that stuff years back and actually got rid of it because of all the
Yeah.
hassle
Yeah.
with all the regulations.
Yep.
well, that's why I didn't know if we had a contract with someone for,
The city does with BP.
It's just a lot closer for DPW to go up to BP to fill up than it is for us.
well, yeah, but I mean, I would think that someone would deliver. I mean, we have, I can't remember who we have come out, I want to say Corey Oil, they fill up our generators with a truck. So, I mean, maybe look at something like that as well, when you need it, that way there you don't, they just fill it up and, I mean,
Does that justify the extra $2 to $3 per gallon versus an hour of,
I don't know if
Operator
it's 2 to 3 gallons an hour, but I would think it'd have to be somewhat market value, somewhat. I mean, I understand there'd be a delivery charge, but
yeah.
just,
That's a good suggestion.
But at this point, your recommendation is to try to negotiate a lease in the hopes that there would be some grant opportunities for the purchase of a unit down the road?
Correct.
Okay.
I'd rather not tie us into a purchase if we didn't have to at this time.
Sure.
yeah.
Any other questions for Jake on this? Anyone want to make a motion?
I guess, how do you make a motion if we don't have all the options?
I'd offer the suggestion that you could provide direction to Jake to go to Mid-States and work out an agreement to bring back if they're able to secure the better rate on that other unit.
And it would be unfinished business for the next meeting.
Okay. We have consensus. Ask Jake to go negotiate a lease agreement for the front-end loader and deal with that next month. Do we want to make a formal motion just to table this till the next meeting?
I'll make a motion to table the wheel loader discussion.
Can I caution you to not use the word table, but postpone?
I will make a motion to postpone till next meeting the discussion or voting approval of the wheel loader until Jacob has a chance to renegotiate or negotiate a lease.
I'll second. Motion and a second to postpone the discussion for the wheel loader lease for the wastewater treatment plant until the next meeting. Any discussion on that? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? All right, we can pick that up next month then. Number 6 then is the purchase of a hoist truck with utility box for the wastewater treatment plant and the sale of the 2012 Chevy Silverado for auction, disposal of that item.
Do we need something that big?
We would also be selling the 2010 Explorer and that as well, but the value of that is
We need to
probably
go
less
cab?
than $1,000.
I mean, wouldn't a straight cab be probably?
You do believe it was a flood vehicle?
So this this vehicle that you're requesting, the hoist truck, would be something that we currently don't have. This is an additional piece of equipment.
This is the piece of equipment that all utilities have that do pull pumps out of lift stations. You generally need to have something with hydraulics to pick up a pump that is 20-some feet underground, under your feet in the water. This gives us the opportunity to have a toolbox, all the equipment, all of our PPE, all of our sampling equipment, power washer, disinfectant, cleaners, and everything in one location for the operators to actually do their rounds in the conveyance system for the lift station monitoring, as well as moving forward with a pre-treatment program and testing program for the collection system so that we have better monitoring of our commercial and industrial clients. It is a very useful piece of equipment that any service company has for servicing heavy equipment, but also utilities have for servicing all of their pumps at lift stations and whatnot. We don't really have a clean storage facility for spare parts, O-rings, gaskets, and whatnot for like replacement parts on pumps, electrical equipment. This would basically alleviate that, and you'd have compartments to have spare parts, equipment, tools, sampling equipment, bottles, labels, chain of custodies, all in one spot. It'd be basically a full-service service truck for our utility.
Brooke, go ahead.
I guess my only question is, do we not want to deal with Napleton or something? I'm just kind of curious why we're going out of.
They cannot match the price, and from the dealings that we've had in the past with the utility, it has been our best interest to look elsewhere.
And Lynch is an all-in-one?
Lynch Truck Center actually provides all of the custom-built Snap-on trucks. They also have a contract to provide Michaels with every piece of equipment they buy for vehicles.
Okay.
I was down at the facility. They provided a price for a Chevrolet truck, which is basically an international, with the diesel, the hard box, the large framed vehicle, the 6,000 series quad cab. That is over $20,000 cheaper than what we could find up at Stevens Point, where we had recently been finding all of our utility pickup trucks. They also offer a full fleet program, much like Enterprise does, but they focus on fleet equipment versus, passenger vehicles and police.
I know that Napleton has that down there as well, but I guess I thought that with what I read, it looked like Knapheide was going to be shipping the box to Lynch anyways, so I mean, what would be the difference to ship it there than here to have it installed? But if the price is that much different, by all means.
I mean, having a 23 sitting on a lot right now for a $6,000 discount is a pretty good sale. And when the price is going to go up 10% of the new price of this year, so.
Go ahead, Sandy.
What are we using for a hoist right now?
Manpower.
You have no mechanical
We do
hoist at
not.
all?
We have a davit arm and a hand crank with a 5-to-1 reducer.
And we don't have anything else in the utility that has a hoist on it either?
If we had to use a mechanical one, we would use the digger truck from the electrical utility. But what happens is you then get grease and grime and other sewage material on a specialty piece of equipment that you generally don't want to have something that can catch fire. And that is why we're looking to not use that. And plus, it's a little bit of overkill for what we would need. It's a little tough to tougher to move a 20-foot boom than it is a 5-10-foot boom.
It's been done in the past, but it's always, there's usually a conflict between both departments trying to, work out a schedule where they need to have something done immediately, and then, utility or water or electric utility is using it, and then they have to wait, and it might be something that they can't wait on, and
Right.
so.
And it's just, with the electrical hazard and whatnot, it's pretty expensive equipment that you specially buy for the electric utility on that truck, and you'd hate to be using it for wastewater when you're gonna be, possibly damaging something that could have been thousands and thousands of dollars cheaper.
Oh, I fully appreciate the specialty needs of each of the utility sections. That's really not the question. My biggest concern, and the reason for a number of my questions tonight, is that without knowing what the budget situation is, and I feel a real obligation to keep our utility solvent.
Understood.
So I want to understand it and see that there's a real need.
I understand your concerns of keeping everything solvent, but I also have a concern of making sure that my staff has the equipment they need to perform their job safely in all situations and environments. And what I'm looking at right now and what I've seen is that we have had some drastic shortcomings in that nature, where it's been we've always done it this way attitude, and that's just what's gotten us by. Well, that only lasts until someone gets hurt or killed. From someone that has been injured on the job, it is something you generally don't recover from completely. And I would rather not see my employees strain their back, fall into a lift station, or hurt themselves by having to use equipment they're not familiar with, scrambling back and forth, damaging equipment, bouncing around the back of a pickup truck. I just would like to see them have the equipment they need to do their jobs properly and safely. That is my biggest concern. I want my employees to come in, have a good day at work, learn something, be proud of the work they do, and go home the same way they came in, just with more money in their pocket.
Can I interject a couple things? Jake, is this in your CIP plan?
It is, but it is also something that we could also budget for and pay out like we did plan for the digger truck with monthly payments for a termed purchase.
Yeah, my only concern there is that Ellers has looked at that and found a better payment plan for borrowing for that piece
that
of
digger truck,
equipment.
yeah.
So, I guess my other question is, how frequently is a piece of equipment like this anticipated to be used or needed?
Every day.
You're pulling motors and pumps out of lift stations daily?
We are going to be doing inspections on our lift stations weekly. We are going to be sampling the collection system in different locations or throughout the collection system in other industries weekly, and there will be multiple samplers and samples being taken. Any service call or any emergency call that needs to go to a facility will be using this truck versus a Polaris ATV or a pickup truck. This will have a quad cab, so if you need more than 2 people, you need 1 vehicle, not 2. It's just more efficient, more all-in-one package of, I guess you could say, surplus service utility vehicles.
Well, I'm happy to hear that it's in a capital plan already. My question would be, is this going to be replacing a different vehicle in the fleet, like a regular truck that we normally have?
It's going to be replacing a hand-me-down 2012 Silverado 2500 that we've already had to put about $6,000 into this year. And a 2010 Ford Explorer that we do believe is a flood vehicle and actually will make you sick sitting inside. And it has not been used more than twice this entire year. But it doesn't need to be plugged in like a Chevy Volt.
My last question is just because I've never pulled a pump from a lift station, but aren't lift stations enclosed? I mean, how do you use the hoist to pull the pump if it's inside, or is the pump outside of the structure?
Lift stations are enclosed by a hatch that are underground. If you have a pump station that has a dry sump pump, they tend to be in a building, and those buildings actually have overhead cranes and man lifts already factored into them. Our lift stations are open hatches. Look down, there's a pump. They're usually on rails or on wires. So you drop a hook down inside the lift station, hook the pump, pull it off the flanges, and pull it out.
Okay.
There's also sump pumps and influent pumps in our plant that can also be utilized in the same manner. We actually have 2 scum pits on the back of our clarifiers right now that have 30-plus-year-old pumps and rails that we're having to replace and repair right now. That is something else that is in my capital plan to have replaced next year. But then again, when you can't pull a pump, you can't inspect a pump. So you don't know what your tolerances and your clearances are in your impellers. So you're adding extra wear and tear and inefficiencies on your equipment, so your electrical bill goes up. So just one of the things it's going to get a lot of use. And it's, honestly, I was surprised that the utility did not have one to begin with. It's usually one of the first pieces of equipment any utility has.
At $154,000, where does this reside if we buy it? Does it sit outside?
It will sit inside of our solids building right now, where we store 2 vehicles and a spreader truck.
Because I always see the vehicles outside all the time.
Yeah. Inside storage is at a premium, but we will be putting this one inside.
So as far as financing, this is based upon the 2025 budget. Has that been identified, whether this is going to be something that would have to be bonded for, whether the budget would be providing for that, I guess, is probably a big question for me since we don't have the budget in front of us.
The presentation by Greg Johnson of Ellers to the council Tuesday night highlighted that all 3 utilities are going to have to look at rate increases and rate case studies to support the planned capital improvement plan. And Greg has shared my concern that our plan is much more of a 15-year plan that we need to prioritize and spread out over a longer period of time than the current 5-year indication. The other unknown and our biggest cost is the likely decommissioning of Water Plant 1 and concept of creating Water Plant 3, and we know the unknown is what grant funding we have pretty high confidence that there will be grant funds available for that type of project, and that's the great unknown as you project out over the next 5 years.
Any further questions on this item?
I'd be remiss not to take the opportunity to point out that in many areas of the city, and I think wastewater is a great example, the minimum has been done in a lot of cases to either stay under the radar or not accomplish everything that needed to be done. And like we've talked a lot about in a lot of aspects of the city, cans have been kicked down the road about as far as we can kick them. I think the safety need here, and I think more importantly, highlighting the right way of doing things. It's a tough pill to swallow with a really expensive vehicle, but I don't think the need's going away, and I also know it's not likely to be cheaper next year.
In regards to a rate case study, I was given the preliminary results of my wastewater treatment sewer utility rate case. I will not share the details tonight, but they were quite surprising. Not to anyone that had looked at everything and known the situation, but it will be a substantial increase for that rate. It goes out 4 years, and the preliminary paperwork for review should be done either tomorrow or early next week for our staff, Matt and I, to look over with Rupert Milky's team. And we'll look at reviewing that, making revisions, asking questions, and trying to finalize something to bring to the commission for discussion and approval.
The rate case study done by Baker Tilly?
No, this was done by Rupert Milky. It was found that actually the 2022 rate case study done for the utility, sewer utility, was not exactly what you would call applicable. It put us in a very poor position to actually function at the cost at which their rate was increased. It actually costs us more money to treat septage than we make on receiving it, and that is unfortunate.
If my memory serves correctly, which it doesn't do all the time, I thought that there was a rate case study for the wastewater that had to be done every 2 years because of bonding covenants, but it always reflected 2 years prior and not current operational.
It's
levels. Is it-
recommended that a rate case study for all utilities be done every 2 years, so you don't have drastic increases every rate case study.
But I didn't think it was a recommendation. I thought it was a requirement of the DNR that
I don't know
didn't
if
mean
it's
you
a-
had to act on it, but
Yeah.
I mean, it was a
I
requirement.
don't know if it's a requirement for wastewater, but I do believe it is a requirement for water.
Again, my memory is not what it was 10 years ago, but I thought that we had to do that every 2 years, so. All right. What's the will of the commission at this point?
Well, barring, or I shouldn't say barring, but with Matt's suggestion, it sounds like it's a piece of equipment that we need. The city, apparently, we have the means. So I guess I will make a motion to purchase the truck with the not to exceed, where was that? Price of $159,267.
I'll second the motion, just with a statement that with this type of vehicle, I can see the benefit of having everything all on one vehicle. I think there'd be less time wasted driving back and forth for whatever, and then the fact of having a king cab that you would have all your staff with you, so.
We're also going to have a water tank, power washer, and
Yeah.
disinfection on there. So when we do pull a pump or have to pull anything out, there will not be the residual vector attraction or pathogen attraction of that in a residential area where kids and dogs can walk up on it and anything. So it gives us a piece of equipment that makes the public safer, not just our employees.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the purchase of the 2023 Chevy for the wastewater treatment plant not to exceed $159,267. I'll open it up for discussion only because I want to ask one more question. As far as financing this, is this still up in the air then, or is it written in stone once we approve this? I mean, I just don't know whether the utility has the cash on hand to go out and buy one in a month, or if we're waiting till next year to do this.
In a perfect world, we've got an approved CIP for the utility and a borrowing plan worked out with Ellers. And I guess the question becomes the time frame for this purchase. Is there anything that's required now? Is the same deal in place a month from now? Some of those kind of questions.
Lynch did provide the financing options through their fleet program. We were going to look into other options for financing. They did not speak of any down payments or anything that was required once we sign a contract. But there is a 6 to 8 month lead time.
Okay.
So it's not like it's going to be here next week.
So it would give
The
us.
truck's
time-
there, but it still needs to be manufactured and put together. And they will finalize everything with our logos, numbering, lights, everything will be there, warranted and delivered. We don't have to go. You'll even have plates on it.
So the financing can be hashed out between now and then, it sounds like, whatever
Correct.
the smartest move is. Okay, that,
And I do believe now, well, we have worked with Farmers and Merchants, but we also have the financing option through Lynch and Farmers and Merchants, and then the ability to bond.
okay.
Just going to caution everybody, based on the last vehicle that we looked at, a lease option, it took Ellers all of 5 minutes to look at it and go, we can do better than this. And we've talked with council about leasing. There are, the lease option that was presented to the council in terms of getting everything new, very attractive, but we have Ellers involved for a reason, and I want them to look at anything that we're gonna do from a lease standpoint, whether that's utility or city, and do what's in our best long-term interest.
I agree with that.
Go ahead,
The
Joe.
only other thing then, because it was also the sale of the 2012 Chevy Eldorado.
Silverado.
Or Silverado. Eldorado. Would that initially, according to city policy, have to go, you'd have to ask anybody else, any other department, whether they want it,
Yeah.
which I know they won't.
We're technically the second department to have it, so.
Yeah, well, yeah, right, and I think that was part of it, is that it was that's where,
Correct.
and I don't see anybody else taking that. I would think that we could, if Brooke wanted to amend his motion for the purchase and then the sale of the 2012 on auction.
We will put the Explorer and the 2012 Silverado up for auction through Wisconsin Surplus.
Do you want to amend your motion?
I'll amend my motion.
Okay,
And I'll
Motion.
second it, so.
all right.
yeah.
Brooke has technically amended his motion to approve the purchase of the 2023 Chevy for the wastewater treatment plant, and also approve the disposal of the 2012 Chevy Silverado and the 2010 Explorer from the wastewater fleet. Any discussion on the motion? If there's no further discussion, can we take a roll call, Matt?
Handler.
Aye.
Curtis.
Aye.
Hammer. Aye. Tone.
Aye. Motion is approved. All right, we'll move on to item number 7 then, which is approval to create the position of and hire a senior lineman for Columbus Electric Utility. Jake has included information in the packet, but I'll let you have the floor to dig in any further if you'd like. There is a job description along with the agenda.
Yes, I provided a draft job description for a senior lineman position. The staff is taxed with the amount of work that we have. The fact that we don't really have a proper hierarchy with the any department right now. It's very taxing on anyone that is in a lead or in a position of any type of authority or decision making. The phone never stops ringing. It's your personal phone. It goes home with you. There's no vacation days. This position will assist us in keeping departments in department versus having water operators constantly assisting electrical operations, needing to call, wastewater in to assist water because water is helping electric, vice versa. It gives me a chance to put my foreman in the office to actually look through the plans, design, engineering, and looking at a big picture, putting everything together, inventorying, charging everything properly to the right accounts. After speaking with the staff in our one-to-one meetings with my department heads, it's become evident that the candle's getting burned at both ends in multiple departments. And assistance is needed to maintain a quality workplace. Not to mention the fact that when you're taxed and you're stressing and you're rushing around and putting out constant fires, literally with transformers catching fire lately, or storm damage or hurricanes and you're sending staff elsewhere, when you're rushed and you're always behind the 8 ball, you make mistakes, and that's been happening. Hasn't been dramatic or drastic in either department where we are asking for extra employees, but it is needed. I need to be able to allow my employees to be able to take vacation and actually use their annual allotments of vacation. Right now, no one really seems to be able to do that because we have so much work that needs to be done. Jobs need 2 people. We have apprentices. We have one that will be finishing up this year, but then we still have one apprentice in the electrical utility that has at least 2 more years to finish up before he's a full journeyman. So he will be out, training, taking classes. And honestly, even when you make journeyman level, you should still be doing as much training as possible to keep up and better yourself, and I'm a full believer in that. But I also believe that the department needs to have a hierarchy, and there needs to be someone to hand the baton off to when you need off time. People need to have a mental break, much like police officers, firemen. Utility workers are much the same. They're called out all hours of the night, all hours of the day. For example, 2 hours after Dalton, our electrical lead, assisted his wife in giving birth to their newest son, he was answering calls on his phone about work. That really bothered me as a father and as a manager of someone that I view my employees as family. I don't want my family interrupted in a moment like that. And I took that personal. And I do not want that to happen to anyone else under my rule, or I should say my leadership. If we have to make a rule that you turn in your phone and it is not your responsibility when you are off, take vacation, or sick, heal up, get better, mentally take a break, I will fully back that, and I do believe anyone else here would agree.
My only concern is, Dalton's our senior right now, correct?
Well, technically,
Technically, he's a foreman.
Yes.
I mean, so this guy would supersede him.
No,
He would be directly below him.
below.
Oh, it'd be below him. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
The salaries that are listed here are based on the state of Wisconsin's prevailing wage. It's actually 5708, but I misinterpreted and wrote 5701. 8 cents or 7 cents is not really a big difference, but it brings us to the state standard for journeyman lineman. That would be the rate for our journeyman. This position would be $1 over that, and then Dalton's position as the foreman would be $1 over the senior. That way, its proper hierarchy allows for the ability to move up, and there is separation between each position. This would also ensure that we have a department that I know will be fluid. We already have strong leadership. We have strong personalities. We have good bonding, camaraderie, and I'd like to keep it that way. I don't want to lose anybody due to the fact that they're just sick and tired of being overworked and burnt out. I've been burnt out in a position before. It's not a good feeling. It makes you feel like you've worked your whole life or worked a profession to get to the point where you don't feel valued or appreciated, and there's no end in sight. And that's as a Dalton being a former veteran, I'm sure he knows what that's like in a war zone, so I would like to not have that in your place of employment.
First of all, I fully appreciate that you want to take care of the people that work in the utility, and I thank you for that. And I want to take care of the people in the utility, too. What I need to understand is how this fits in with the rate increase that we just did this year.
With that rate increase, we are currently looking at the budgets, and I was hoping and had anticipated having that budget completed for review tonight. But we did find some errors in the budget, in the calculations, and how the formulas worked out for everything in the budget. It is my hopes that this is going to be completely doable. It is still a hope, but I am optimistic that it will work. And if need be, for this position and the item number 8, the water position, if I have to take a cut in pay, I will gladly do so.
So maybe then it would be appropriate that we postpone the decision on this item until we have that information.
That is fully understood.
But, and I see that you have that based on the state of Wisconsin prevailing wage. I mean, in the past, we've used the MEUW survey in order to go off of that.
It's the same rate.
Is that?
It is.
Okay, all right.
And it's also within 3 cents of every utility within a 35, 40-minute radius of us.
All right.
On average, we're about 6 to 7% less than everybody else.
And I know at one point we did have budgeted in when we
There you-
had, what, 5?
There were 6
Or
originally.
six, yeah, so,
Then someone retired.
no, that was after I retired.
I know.
So it's just, it was already budgeted for at that time, so.
Correct. And the jobs, they were budgeted for, and the duties just kind of fell onto Dalton, the foreman. I looked at his job description. I said, Dalton, I hate to tell you this, but I need you to redo your job description as a draft so I can review it. He goes, what do you mean? I says, this is 1 page. You do a hell of a lot more than 1 page of work. I need you to review this and bring it to 2025, not 2016.
Michael, can I say a couple of
Go
things?
right ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I encourage the commission and Jacob to explore how to address these burnout issues and concerns. I heard a number of things that, number one, we need to get utility-issued cell phones. If nothing else, a utility-issued on-call phone, and share that responsibility instead of placing that on one person. I think there's other things that can be done to address some of those concerns. They're not going to fully go away, but I think there's other measures that can be looked at and explored in how to do that. And again, if the budget allows the addition of staffing positions, then that's the commission's purview to move in that direction. But I think, and Jacob and I have talked about the cell phone issues. I'm not a fan of employees using their personal phones for city business or compensating them for use of their personal phones. I think it's a potential disaster situation in terms of legality and liability type thing. So, and we're working with a number of, I think 2 years ago or in the last 2 years, police and fire moved to FirstNet. FirstNet is a cell phone provider under the AT&T umbrella. They've been given a federal grant to develop a network for emergency responders that gives them priority in an emergency situation. They are able to allow, and we're working right now on transitioning some of our city phones that are eligible to come off of our current provider to FirstNet. The utility, if it were to add, would also be able to move to FirstNet. They're beating the price of our current provider and have that ability to, in an emergency situation, prioritize our phones to the network in terms of, and there's different classifications for fire and EMS and police. Utility would be, I think, in that next tier, right behind emergency response, so.
What does the wastewater treatment plant do for the on-call?
They rotate through
Okay.
a week at a time. And they actually do have an on-call phone, but they still have the option to use their personal cell phones.
Okay.
And I actually am meeting with FirstNet next week, so. It does sound like a better option. I mean, the fact that your cell phone could just be confiscated for evidence, honestly, for me, is just not cool. That's a liability waiting to
I
happen.
completely agree. I don't think any city employees should be using personal equipment for official
Right.
communications.
I mean, it's not like it's paying for your phone. It's $25 stipend a month. That's not even a line on the family plan.
Yeah.
You can't even get Cricket for that.
I think I agree with Sandy. I think the best asset the city and the utilities have is our employees, and I don't want people to be stressed out, but adding another position at this level, I think without having a draft budget here, I'd rather wait until we've got the draft budget and see how that fits in. At this point, what is the market right now for this position? It seemed like a year ago we were, it was impossible to find applicants, but I mean, what is the market like right now?
Well, the market is right now, if the way I picture things is, I hate to use these terms, but I'd like to be the poacher, not the poached. I would like this to be a place where people say, oh, maybe I should go here and set my career here for retirement. Not the grass is always greener, or it's growing better over there. I can do a 15, 20-minute extra drive to benefit myself, because utilities is any other job. It's not like you have the option to be remote. You are on site, you are on call, you are in a hurricane, environment, post-hurricane. You're doing everything that anybody else's first responder would be doing. It's a special breed of people, and it's not just finding the candidates, it's finding the right camaraderie and the right fit for the candidates. And there are some candidates that we know that have helped us in the past, that are former employees, that would fully welcome applying for the position if it came available. Again, I would like this to be a place where people want to come work. I know, I hate to say it, but more than one person in my social circle was St. Columbus. We've heard and seen jobs posted there all the time. What's the deal? My position is, well, we're going to change that. And we're going to make this be the place that people want to work and want to stay. And I think we have the people in place to put us in the direction and on the right path to do so. And we have the staff that we can actually build upon. But I would like to make sure that that staff stays solid and stays sane.
My other question is, are there any concerns about you know, if you're able to hire for this position, is finding someone that's going to have to take a, you know, a leadership type of role or be second in command or first in command when the foreman is gone. You know, how that works in the culture, if it's someone who's well qualified and they have to be the brand new manager when the manager is gone, or if there's a possibility that someone that's within the ranks can be graduated up into more of a second in command position, or are we not in that?
That is why we put the position out for interviews and applicants. Also, the hiring process would be a formal hiring process, and before a decision was made, we would make sure that the finalist would spend time with the utility and make sure that they are a fit, and there's agreement that, you know, this is somebody we can work with and will respect. I believe I have a pretty good judgment on character and how things go, observation-wise. I tend to sit and watch, and I key in on certain things, and we have pretty direct personalities in our utility. They're not ones to shy away from anything, whether it be work or their opinions. So I believe it'll be an issue. I really don't.
Okay. And the last thing was just the job description itself. It seemed like there were some redundancies that I noticed between this and then the next agenda item that we have, that it seemed like it would cross over some of the utilities a little bit as far as water meters, things like that.
That is the original job description for the journeyman right now, or was the meter technician position. But that is, the goal is to revise what we have. I just haven't had the time to fully look at what I should ask this person to do, because the foreman's job title and duties are not up to date. But the goal is I wanted to bring this before everybody while the budget I had anticipated to have finished was prepared, so that we had 2 months to essentially prepare a packet, a job description, go through NeoGov, post the position for a month, and be interviewing around, you know, the end of the year, and hopefully hiring before February. But if it's delayed, it's delayed. I just would like to have it on the table and an option.
Okay.
And yeah, there needs to be some reviews. And one of the things I am trying to do is, you know, let the departments work in departments. And there's always going to be some crossover, because these guys, I mean, they don't shy away from work. And if you need them, they show up. I mean, they're as reliable as your golden retriever. I mean, they are there. And they're there, and they're happy to do it, because they care about their jobs and they care about their community. And I'm going to be honest, there aren't too many people that really do that in this day and age. And to have essentially 7 people that are constantly, always volunteering, it's pretty amazing. And I think Columbus needs to realize how fortunate they are, because that does not happen. I've heard so many times, that's not my job. I ain't paid to do that. And we don't have that attitude.
And as you have it stated in here, it's a draft, so I mean, there's, you know, like, just one thing that I had picked out is under the summary, construction and maintenance of municipal electric and water metering systems. I would take the word metering out. Because it's just,
Yeah.
so, yeah, it's just, there's just, you know,
It was a draft. It was
was a draft,
basically
right.
added a little bit to the journeyman position that was there, which is also the metering technician.
yeah.
But like I said, even the water operator's position actually was combined with a maintenance worker position. I'm like, why are they the same job description? So there's some work to be done, and it's just a start. I just wanted to get it before you guys, so you know what the plan is.
Okay, appreciate that. All right, I would move that we just postpone this until the next meeting then, when we have the draft budget here, and pick up the discussion there. Is that all right? All right. And then we'll move on to item number 8, which would be the approval to hire full-time water operator for Columbus Water Utility. And again, Jacob's got an agenda item and a job description for that item as well.
And again, another, probably wait for the budget to be approved, but I did want to mention that this is a discussion that Matt and I have had. It's a two-man department. Right now, Mr. Tanner, our lead, is on vacation. Craig's by himself. So if anything were to really happen, we are pulling from somewhere else. And we did get actually information that the VOC sample came back finally from the sample from Plant 1, that it's good to go. We still have to wait for DNR approval because she's also on vacation. But if we were to try to start the plant up and run to drain or do some testing, you can't do that with one person. It's just not safe. You need to have two people. So it's one of those things where, again, two-man department's always been what we had, but is it really that safe? Not really. So everything's a two-man job. We need to be able to give people their vacation, their time off. And also, if there is ever going to be a creation of a stormwater utility, we're going to need to have somebody in the interim or in the permanent position or time being to assist us with what we have. And I really don't know if that utility would be created today, if we would have the staff to even do so.
Yep.
And our hopes and dreams to grow this community and build with a new plant and new neighborhoods and increase our revenues and increase our customer base, we're going to need people.
I think we're in the same position, though, with this item as we are
Yeah,
with the last one.
it is the
where
same. It is the
It'd just
same.
be a matter of postponing until
Yeah.
Yeah.
we have the budget, so.
Yep, I would agree. The only thing on this, well, on this job description that stuck out at me right away was under certificates, licenses, and special requirements. Knowledge of first aid and CPR, I would try to strengthen the language a little bit. I'm sure that there's probably required training, like does MEUW do like official certification of that stuff? Or
Yeah.
just participating in those
And I
things? Because I
do-
know about first aid and
Yeah,
CPR,
I do
but
believe
that
we
doesn't
are
mean that I know how to do any of it.
looking into that training here as well and getting some certifications. I mean, I'm first aid and CPR trained as well, certified, but
That's part of the MEUW.
it's part of the MEUW
Safety
program, yeah.
program, so.
Yep.
But, you know, it's just something that you generally want to have somebody have knowledge of, but, yeah.
Sure. All right, any further discussion on this? Then I would move that we postpone this till next month as well, until we have the draft budget. All right, then, let's see. Number 9, then, is the purchase of the electric utility 2020 Ford F-250 truck, service truck with the utility box. There's a quote in the packet for this one as well.
Yep. This is also from Lynch. This is a vehicle that Dalton had been working with Stevens Point Truck Center for the past 6 months to try to get purchased. It's our vehicles, it is up for, we're up to get rid of a 2015 and purchase up. The salesman that we had used in the past is no longer with Stevens Point Truck. Excuse me. But
Stevens Point truck?
Stevens Point is where we were buying them from.
You mean
Steven-
utility sales and service?
Nope.
Or-
It was Stevens Point Truck Center. It was basically the old Scafidi Ford. From Highway 66 and 5139.
For the fiberglass box?
Yeah,
Okay.
yep. Yeah, the smaller truck. We go through USSI for the larger, medium, heavy-duty trucks.
Did you check with USSI?
I believe he did, and they just
Okay,
weren't comparable.
because I think we did at one point have them do something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, when we got the larger medium-duty trucks, the Internationals that have the fiberglass FX boxes, we got those through USSI. But every time we tried to get a quote from them, they kept trying to give us a cab and a half or a regular cab truck. They wouldn't even give us the proper quote for a crew cab and listen to what we were trying to do, and the price was still almost $90,000. And Lynch came in with the price, gave us some options, and the FX box through them, everything we wanted for just under $77,000 is, and we're looking at probably getting 20 to 25,000 for the truck that we'll be trading in. And that will go to auction as well. Again, it's a 6 to 8 month lead time for the truck.
But this is part of the regular rotation of the fleet?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. It will actually, instead of having a cab and a half, you have a crew cab. Because like right now, we sent 3 guys to Florida. Well, 2 of them rode in the truck, 1 rode with somebody else because there was no room in that jump seat. I think that truck was actually on the backups, on the weight limit. She was all maxed out. A lot of water.
Any questions on this one? Seems pretty straightforward since it's part of the regular rotation.
Jake, the one question I have is, you're asking to replace, or you're, in the agenda, it says an F-250. Do we currently have an F-250 and are upgrading to the F-350, or?
That was a typo. It's actually an F-350. The quote is for a 350.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what we have currently?
Yes, yes,
So both of them are 350?
correct. I'm just so used to typing F-250 because that's what I have. It's just a little, one more leaf spring.
Well, I would make a motion to approve the purchase of the 2024 Ford F-350 service truck at $76,000 and $76,923.
I'll second. Get a motion and a second to approve the purchase of the 2024 Ford F-350 service truck with utility box for $76,923. Any discussion on the motion? If none, we'll take a roll call. Matt?
Curtis.
Aye.
Cameron.
Aye.
Sullivan.
Aye.
Yeah.
Hey.
Motion's approved. Thank you. On to number 10, which is the replacement of the hydrant at 118 Meister Drive for the Dollar Tree project. This seems interesting. But I think I get it.
Yeah, it's been interesting. This was a discussion with our city engineer, the project manager for the project, and myself. They have not been able to pass the pressure test on the line. They've repaired the fire hydrant that's there. It is 40 years old. That was our recommendation. They threw money at it, put it together, still failed the pressure test. We got a price to replace the hydrant with a new one. They've agreed to do the work, which makes sense because they are the ones working on the site. You'd hate to have someone else come in and create a liability. But basically what this would do is, get us a new hydrant where we needed one anyways. We don't have any in stock. So this would hopefully alleviate their pressure issue, which would allow them to finish their project and start moving on. But also, if the hydrant does not fix the pressure issue, the contractor then knows that they have to do some excavation and figure out where we're losing pressure to get this project moving along. It has been ongoing struggles with this project, so we would like to get this fixed as fast as possible. I do believe they have a scheduled opening, or had planned to open within 2 months, I believe. That was their initial plan, and they're behind.
Makes sense to me. How is the hydrant involved in the pressure test? I mean,
They're hooking up to the fire hydrant.
Okay.
To do the test.
Yeah.
So their equipment, they're pumping up, and then it has to maintain 150 pounds for, 2 hours?
Yes.
okay.
And there's a percentage that it can go, but I forget what that.
It's a small percent.
small,
percent,
very
and
small.
it's dropping from 150 psi to under 120.
Okay.
And that's unacceptable.
Yeah, and the recommendation, they could do another form of approval which is approved by the state, but has never been the approval of the city or the policy of the city to allow the acceptable leakage of anything. I mean, I wouldn't want to accept it as well. So this is the right thing to do, and we have to get this taken care of and at least eliminate the thing we know is old
Yeah,
and put it on the, if it's not on our shoulders, it's going to be on theirs, so.
okay.
And that's actually a good cost.
It actually is, yeah. Compared to what we just replaced by the school, it's within $1,000.
All right, any further questions on this one? All right,
I will make a motion to approve the replacement of the hydrant on Meister Drive for the quoted amount of $12,265.
I'll second it.
got a motion and a second to approve the replacement of the hydrant at 118 Meister Drive at Dollar Tree for $12,265. Any discussion on the motion? If there's no discussion, Matt, could you please take a roll call?
Andler,
Aye.
Curtis,
Aye.
Hammer. Aye. Tome.
Aye. Motion's approved. We have number 11, discussion and approval of 2025 operating budget. That's not going to happen tonight, I guess. Is there any summary or anything that anybody wanted to add at this point or not?
No comment.
Okay. Is there any concern, are we going to have a special meeting? That's my first question. Is there a statutory date where we have to have this budget approved by, before the next meeting?
Mid-November.
Is there?
I think it's mid-November. Yes, we should probably have a special meeting.
Okay.
If not next week, the week after.
My,
Right.
my advice would be to look at the week after. I believe that Thursday is the 31st, so that might not be the best date. But I think making sure that we have time to get through and have further, because once everything's approved, or once everything's finalized, then getting Ellers involved in review and
Correct.
more of a comprehensive look at the CIP, because the debt issuance is going to affect your overall budget. So I think 2 weeks is probably the right time frame.
Yeah, and we don't even have the completed draft of the rate case in front of us, so. And also, we're down a few commissioners. I'd like to have everybody
I agree.
at least around to review.
Yep.
I
agree.
believe sitting down, whether it be a Q&A session or an actual open meeting, we just need to have that conversation.
I agree. Can you send out like a doodle poll or something to the entire commission so we can establish that date? I don't know if the rest of the commission would agree, but I think it would be nice to actually have kind of a workshop before the meeting, just to kind of dig into it. It's going to be a large document.
Yeah, I'd like to be able to give you guys time to review it at home,
Yeah.
and then have a sit-down before, and
Okay.
then we can actually discuss on record
Okay.
afterwards.
Okay, that sounds good.
So we have to see what's available for boardroom and whatnot, so.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, we can move on to the reports then. Director's utility report. You could put a lengthy list in our packet, everything that's going on.
Well, as I've mentioned, we do have linemen back in school for the apprenticeship program. Jake Boness, Jeff Heck Jr., and Mason Mosier are on their way home right now from Florida. They should be back tomorrow morning sometime, or early tomorrow afternoon.
I just want to interject
Oh, yep.
on that comment. Them going down to Florida, especially for the apprentice, you can't get better training
No.
than being in a storm damage. Those guys are going to come back with so much experience that it's unfortunate that something like that happens to get that kind of experience, but it's awesome. It's awesome.
We're lucky he's
to
coming
have
back
them,
home.
so.
He might have liked it down there.
It was still hot.
Not the way it is, but,
It was still hot down there.
yeah. But, yeah, it's excellent experience, and I'll be honest, to be a director of people that actually willingly volunteered, and actually everybody wanted to go, but with new baby at home, Mr. Hiley made the right choice of staying home. I mean, I have a spare bedroom, but I don't think it'd be appropriate. But yeah, it's an honor to direct these gentlemen. That's a noble effort, you know. It's tough. I mean, it's hard work, and they had a lot to do. And there's a lot of damage down there, not just from the storm that they assisted with, but elsewhere. So, very proud of these gentlemen and our utility for how much they volunteered and put out, and very proud of the state of Wisconsin for offering their help.
I think I saw on the news this afternoon that there was like 22 different utilities that participated in sending people down there.
Yeah, it was 23 utilities and over 40.
47 employees and
47
43 utility
employees, yeah.
members.
Plus MEUW
Yep.
staff that coordinates this stuff, so, yeah,
Correct.
That's great.
And people like to see municipal utilities come down because those guys do everything. You get some of these bigger ones, they don't do tree trimming because
Yeah.
their contract won't, or their union contract won't allow it.
Correct.
Our guys will go in, they'll cut trees, they'll get everything out of the way and start putting stuff up and get people back on power. So it's, you know, it says a lot for municipal-owned utilities. So.
I had to buy a lot of trail mix last Wednesday. But yeah, it was, it's very proud of these gentlemen. It's a noble effort, and I know I have family, friends down there that I'm sure we're very appreciative. I have a couple of high school alumni that friends that are in the area, and they're very happy to have all the help they can get, because dealing with a hurricane by yourself is never a good thing. And the fact that they had, you know, essentially two, and now one of the areas actually just had half a foot of snow, so it's hard to believe, but yeah, it's pretty good. So the utility has got some more of their conversion work off of Substation 1 through the downtown area. Substation 4 repair work is still on hold. We have yet to receive the parts. Substation 3, the Transeruptor project, will be delayed. Sun Prairie actually contacted us earlier in the week. They needed to have our copper buses from the project that we had sitting in the shop for an emergency in Sun Prairie. So Forster worked their magic and took ours, and they're going to get us replacements as soon as possible. Nothing, no charge to us, or no bother to us. They'll just take care of it, and when it shows up, hopefully we'll be done with Substation 4. We can work on Substation 3. It's one of the benefits of having this network.
Another
together.
form of mutual aid.
We do have a lot of mutual aid, and we definitely have some very solid partnerships, and it's a blessing. We assisted the contractors with the Waterloo lift station. We had some issues where we had to pull wires back. We also assisted at the Meister Park lift station when the contractor hit a mist-marked water main, which is a conversation in the water group. That was quite a surprise. You almost had a duck pond there for quite some time. There's a lot of water. I think we've lost 800,000 gallons of water.
800,000?
800,000, I do believe, was on total, or 80,000.
I thought you had 88.
88, yeah, something like that. But it was a lot of water.
Still a lot of water.
Still a lot of water, and the entire area north of Church, across the river, was all without water for a good portion of the day. That was a mess. So yeah, the first highlight question here, I got the results yesterday for that VOC test that it's all good. The DNR needs to approve it still. We'll have to drain that reservoir out. It has been sitting now for 2 months. The plant has essentially been sitting idle for over 3 months. At the age of those electrical components, we're actually kind of nervous that if they'll turn again, because when they sit after, spinning for so long, they tend to fuse. So we're hopefully they'll turn. So say a prayer, please, to the GE gods. The copper inventory, copper lead inventory was due yesterday. We got that done last week. Our service line material inventory was due yesterday. That is also done as of last week. Everybody's been working pretty hard. Jake is on vacation, so Craig's been holding the fort. Today he replaced hydrant markers that caused an injury to a child who grabbed it and got fiberglass slivers in her hand. So we replaced a number of them in the neighborhood that were identified as faulty. So thank you, Craig, for taking care of that so promptly. Sewer utility, our new operator, Merle Noren, has started. He comes with a vast amount of knowledge. He was the former operator in charge of West Salem wastewater treatment. He moved to the area to be closer to his kids and grandkids. So thank you, Merle, for making the move. It's a pleasure to have him. Disinfection season has come to a close, so we are no longer chlorinating and dechlorinating to the Crawfish River. The plant has stabilized, which is good. We haven't had any rain for over almost 2 months, so that's a good thing. The river is actually kind of low now. We've been having some issues with temperature control in the admin and the lab area. Actually, today Bassett Mechanical was on site to make some repairs. So, couldn't have signed that agreement any sooner. Our BOD incubator, aka fancy word for refrigerator, has been acting up. It's been freezing up and not holding temperature. We did a little makeshift ventilation project by opening the back of it up, putting a fan on it to keep it running, but that's not feasible. We need to have a consistent temperature in that incubator, or we'll violate our permit and our requirements of the lab hygiene standards. So we're actually looking at buying an incubator, but the problem is where that is made is currently no power, no water, and no highway service. North Carolina, Gatlinburg is actually where the company is from. But luckily, Mr. Noren happened to notice that they had the exact same unit sitting on the shelf that hadn't been used and is brand new at West Salem. So we're actually in contact with West Salem to see if we can purchase that for a price and also some pizza. Because that would be an asset for us to have, because even if we are able to keep this one running for some time, we need to have an immediate backup. It's pretty important to have our BOD samples, and we're going to be needing that with our new permit coming up. We're going to probably be doing more BOD sampling. The vac truck is currently on the auction block. The current bid is $25,250. So we have until the end of the month for that. Hopefully we reach the reserve and we can sell that vac truck and happily turn the keys over to the proud new used vac truck. Our rate case has been finalized, as mentioned. Waiting for the report, the draft report, and we'll be discussing that. And I will definitely provide that information to the commission via email or in a physical form. I don't know how thick it'll be. It might be another 100-page reader. Who knows? The upcoming month, Dalton had mentioned he'd like to get some more conversion work done if the weather holds out. We have enough to get us by to maybe do one more section of town. They'd also like to finish up on the Highway K project. The weather this year has delayed that so much, and timing. We'd like to just finish that up. Apprentices will be attending school, and hunting season has started, so you'll be short-staffed probably until Christmas. For water, Plant 1 will be back online hopefully after Tuesday of next week when the DNR gets back to us, when she returns from vacation. We're going to complete the hydrant flushing. We're going to be removing some seasonal water meters. State DNR testing, as always. We're going to finish up some project work that's been lingering on the streets. Otherwise, doing some hydrant painting as it stays warm. I mean, it's supposed to warm up again here, so we'll do some sandblasting and painting. Get that stuff done and get ready for winter. And again, hunting season started. Jake will be gone, but Craig will be here. I don't think Craig hunts. For sewer, we're going to continue to optimize the plant. A land application of cake will start within the next probably 2 to 3 weeks for the fall application. There's a lot less in the hangar right now than there had been in the past, which is good, but we still need to get rid of it for the winter. R&M has been managing the project for the sewer lining, jetting, repair work that we had planned after our identification of some of the issues we had on the 4 blocks that we did. They're starting that work. They repaired the lateral to the daycare on Farnham, next to the Waterloo lift station. It was actually cracked by a good 6 inches under the riprap that went from the driveway to the drainage ditch, because it was less than a foot under the riprap. Yeah, it's a little shallow, but it's fixed.
Jake, was that work originally done by the road contractor?
Not really sure if that was done by the road contractor. I would assume so. The
Retention pond?
riprap coming out of that driveway to the retention pond there.
Yeah, I think that was all part of the 2022
Yeah.
Road
road
project.
project.
Very poorly done. I mean, the fiber optic and cable is literally laying on the ground.
So do we have any recourse in bringing them back to do it right?
I don't know if we do.
Well, it was a state project.
Yeah.
So state signed off on it.
Usually a year warranty on that.
When that's done.
Yeah.
She gone. But it's, I went and looked at it right after they did the work. They are able to get it done in about an hour and a half because it was so shallow. And honestly, if you wouldn't have known they did it, you couldn't tell because it looks exactly the same. Actually, it looks better because the rock is a little higher and you can't see the wire anymore. So that's good. We'll be finish up the Waterloo and Meister Park lift station capital projects here. I believe Waterloo is getting gas this week from We Energies, and the first week of November, Meister Park will be getting gas service. So that is the last steps before we can start get everything switched over. We're already starting to talk and work together with the gentleman at the wastewater plant. Peter and I have been trying to put a plan together and how to go about a plan of action to optimize the utility and documentation and influent tracking, some other procedures to put us in position to really start a pre-treatment program. We found out that there was one of our industrial clients has actually had samples that are to be sent into the lab. They sample their effluent to send us, and that provides a BOD sample, and that's what we base our rates off of. The only problem is we've noticed that the BOD sample, which has a 24-hour shelf life, has taken up to 7 days to be at the result of the lab, and it has yet to be in the proper temperature range. So what that means is the biological bacteria that is in that bottle has pretty much used all of its oxygen up and died. So when you go to do a BOD sample of that material, it is no longer oxygen use, it is anaerobic. So they have been getting by with a very cheap sample. So we've been undercharging them for some time. I would estimate they've probably only been recording 10 to 15% of the actual BOD, which is unfortunate. Other truck washes and businesses like that that I have seen in my industrial sampling past have seen a COD, which is about 30% higher than a BOD sample. They're generally in the 30 to 50,000 parts per million range, and their samples are less than 1,000. So there's a large amount of money. That's shame on us. So thank goodness we caught it, and we're going to be moving on. One of the things that I'm happy to say that we're definitely trying to do the right thing. The burden is going to be off of those that are not violating and put onto those that are. So happy to be moving forward with this program and the plans, and I'm glad that I have staff that is willing to and agrees to right the ship. Jeremy and Tony will be attending the WWOA, which is the Wisconsin Wastewater Operators Association, annual conference in Appleton. They are going to be getting some CEUs, speak with vendors, and hopefully learn something from some of the demonstrations. I have gone to the annual meetings in the past. They are large, informative, great to market, mingle, and you get a lot of good information there and a lot of free hats. Everybody likes free hats. But it's a good opportunity, and I'm glad that the gentlemen actually became members of WWOA. It's a good organization like WRWA is for water operators as well. It's just overall good to be out there and mingle with people that are in the same field as you. You can learn a lot from your peers. Everybody has different problems and different ways to solve them. Like I was always taught that there's more than one way to deal with poo. Overall, we're going to wait for the approval, of the Fireman's Park PCB remediation. I submitted the preliminary report. I was asked to provide more detail, so I have been working on that, and I currently have, I believe, 80-some pages of detail, so they'll be more than happy to read through it. Hopefully, we'll be able to remove that soil from the Countryside building. The DNR states that, well, we generally would like to have that go to a landfill, but none of the soil sampled in any of our samples were anywhere near the detectable limits of disposal requirements. We just went above and beyond to keep the public safe and to remove the vegetable oil, mineral oil material that was on the surface, just in case, to be safe. Because it is a high-profile park and a beautiful park, I would just hate to see it be ruined. So we went above and beyond, so hopefully that soil will be able to be used as fill, which is our intention. But if it does need to go to a landfill, that will be something we're going to have to deal with. Hopefully that is not the case, though. I'm going through CIVMIC training, which has been very helpful, and actually my training has, with CIVMIC, I've dealt with CIVMIC before with former positions, but some of the training that I've been doing, some of the other employees in the building, in our billing department, actually have seen it and like, I would like to do that. It looks really interesting. So, and it is actually very good training. It's even though it's online, it's very hands-on. You do a lot of Q&A, and it's good information, and you get a good packet. So it's very helpful. Actually, a lot of people I know, my neighbor's actually in the training too. So I keep commenting, your grass looks nice because he hydro-seeded. So. But yeah.
What is CIVMIC?
CIVMIC?
Yes.
It is.
Cities, villages, mutual insurance companies. Cities in the state are either insured with CIVMIC, which is a self-insurance self-group, or with the League of Wisconsin Municipalities.
Yep.
The city of Columbus is with the League of Wisconsin Municipalities.
And it's the right place for us. However, every city I've worked for prior to Columbus was a CIVMIC member. And one of the benefits of CIVMIC is they have a very extensive, both what they have two tracks. One is a emerging leader and one is a perfecting leader line of training. There's 10 sessions in each. And it's a lot of HR, risk and liability. There's a strategic planning session. I mean, there's some really good core competencies for managers and directors, and it's something that I've been trying to encourage all of our department heads to take advantage of. Even though we're not members, we can pay a non-member fee. So it's been something that was really helpful early in my career, and then I've continued to attend trainings when it was made sense.
It's $100 per class, and it's very helpful. I mean, if you wanted to see a presentation, the trainer is excellent. I mean, I will say that. It's informative. It's not dry. It's not monotone. He has a good personality, and there's some humor, and there's a lot of you learn a lot and listen. You get to see a lot of what people have comments in the chats. It's kind of like a chat board. You watch him, and then the people are chatting, and it's good. It's a good training, and also CIVMIC also does safety. When I worked with the city of Brookfield, they did all of our safety training and all our safety, and their safety seminars are also very informative that we had with them, so it's a good organization, I will say that. But I'm also going to be sitting through a stormwater and pre-treatment programs seminars that I saw through some agencies that I am a member of, and also the city has been members of, to kind of give myself a little bit of refresher and insight on how to start a pre-treatment program, organize a pre-treatment program, and also how to organize and go forth with a stormwater program. Because there's a lot more to stormwater than just remediating flooding. So, doing a lot of training. I just, not gonna go to school, but I'll train as much as I have to and keep myself trained. I like to know stuff. I don't like to feel like I'm missing out, so. Which is also why I provided you guys with the last section. The Public Service Commission of Wisconsin is asking for public opinion. So I don't know if anybody had a chance to read through that, but this was sent to the city, and if anybody wants to have public opinion on the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Block Grant Fund, funded by the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act by the Department of Energy grant, please feel free to do so. Sounds like a excellent conversation. So, but that is pretty much all I have.
I was going to ask, is there funding available for the city of Columbus in here? Is that why we received this, or?
I think it's for everybody. This is public opinion to talk about what's available. But if it's going to be available, it'll be posted, and we'll definitely try to apply for it if needed.
Okay, thanks. Joe?
Put on radar that, and commissioners are encouraged to attend also, MUW's Day at the Capitol is February 5th, so it's just to get people ahead of time thinking about attending that day. Meet with the representatives or their staff in about electric issues that affect us. So
Lobbying day?
lobbying day, yeah.
Okay, all right, thanks.
It's a Wednesday, just so you guys know. I was curious. My birthday's the 3rd, so I was just wondering. It's not Super Bowl Sunday this year. Dang it. But that is all I have. I apologize for not having the budget ready for everyone. It was surprising to have as many issues as there was with it, so I would rather have it done properly and thoroughly so we can have a good discussion rather than, oops, we'll fix that, oops, we'll fix that. So, my apologies.
All right, thank you. Unless there's anything else, I'll take a motion to adjourn at 7:47.
I would just like to suggest
ahead.
one future agenda item,
Go right ahead.
to have a discussion about communication, both between us and Jacob and among each other and with Matt, so we just know who's supposed to organize what.
Okay. I think that would be a good conversation to have, talking about the cell phone earlier,
Mhm.
about open meetings requirements and stuff is a
Yes.
good understanding for people to have, so be happy to add that to a future agenda to talk about that a little bit.
And then I will make a motion to adjourn since Molly's not here.
All right.
Second.
All right, we've got a motion, a second to adjourn at 7:48. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone
Aye.
opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you.